Hello, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our transformational healing seminar. So, before we get started, I wanted to share a story with you. I've been getting adjusted a long time, right? So, as you know, I do some self-defense on Wednesdays, and then on Saturdays I go to Knackards. So, I'm always subluxating myself. So I take that for granted because I usually go to self-defense on Wednesday and I get adjusted 2 days later on Friday. And especially that kind of self-defense, we're throwing each other on the ground and you can really subluxate yourself. But I get adjusted on Friday, so it's not a big deal. On Saturday, I go, to the other martial arts, and then I get subluxated there, obviously, because it's like an hour long. So then I get adjusted on Tuesday. Well, what happened last week, I got adjusted on Tuesday, but the person that adjusted me couldn't see me. We were supposed to get together on that weekend, and it didn't happen. Well, guess what? My body's so used to being harmonized that by the time, so I got adjusted Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, missed all that, beat myself up. By the time Monday came in yesterday, I was starting to get in pain. And I couldn't even really function my hip joint and my back, and I'm not used to that. So the reason why I'm mentioning that to you is because many times we take for granted when you feel good, when you're balanced all the time, you don't even realize that when you're not in balance. And guess what I thought about? I said, you know what? Number one, I'm grateful. Number two, I feel bad that most people are like that. And that, I have a new patient that came in, she's in her 60s, and she's very holistic like us. She belongs right in our practice. And then she mentioned when she went to her traditional doctor, they said, you're not on any medications at all? She said, no. She goes, that's unusual because in today's world in the US, by the time you're in your 60s, they said an average person has up to 7 medications taken every single day. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I think God does that to me once in a while just to remind me not to take things for granted, because we can. It's easy when things are easy in our lives. It's easy when we do the right things. But when you skip those habits that you have that are beneficial to you, then you begin to understand the mechanism. So with that mindset is how we share the seminar this evening. Let's not take anything for granted. Yes, we want to do things, and I know that you're very holistic in your approach as well. Now you're just beginning this whole journey in terms of how do you then take one step at a time? And tonight we're going to go dig deeper into a deeper component, a different component of how the body heals itself. So tonight's topic is healing depression and chronic anxiety. Since 4 years ago when everything got shut down, if you remember, everybody got locked down, everybody became isolated, and that's the worst thing you can do to a human being, being isolated. And there were a lot of people that ended their lives, and there's still people struggling even up to this time, especially young children. So tonight we're going to be discussing a non-therapeutic approach, but it's a mind-body approach in terms of how to then address depression in a holistic way. The question is, do you have emotions that are trapped in your body that are still making you sick? And we know intuitively that that's true. The question is, what do you do about it? What do you do about it? And that's what we'll be discussing this evening. Before we get started, we always want to discuss our practice mission statement. We are here to provide you with the best, latest technology and the most advanced technology in holistic health and life care. Why do we do that, Kim? Because we want to inspire people to live extraordinary lives so they can be a beacon of hope for others. Just think about this. That seems like a lot of words, but what does that really mean to you?
To inspire. I'm always doing that.
Because if you're not inspiring others...
If I'm not inspiring others?
What are you doing? If you're either inspiring somebody or what? You just don't care, right?
Yeah.
In today's world, do you think we could care more or less?
More.
Yes. And that's really our goal. We want each other to be each other's light, so that when there's darkness around, that we can help each other be supported.
And then they can pass it forward. They can continue it on.
Correct. Because you know what? In today's world, people are suffering due to belief systems that are incongruent with natural laws. We don't know that we're breaking natural laws in terms of how the body works. People online, please type in your questions so we can connect with each other. So let's get right to the meat of this thing. So there's 3 stresses in life. You have the physical, emotional, and chemical stress, right? How do you think that affects you? Does it kind of help your body heal, or does it kind of break you down?
It breaks you down.
Yeah, it breaks you down. Because then these are all forces that are actually destructive in terms of how the body works.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we work in chiropractic with the nervous system is because it's your operating system. Everything runs through that. Without the operating system, nothing works. So what is NET? NET is a technique that we use. It's used by many healthcare practitioners in many different disciplines. So we have doctors of chiropractic, we have acupuncturists, counselors, doctors of medicine, doctors of naturopathy, therapists. These are all practitioners that have postgraduate degrees that can actually practice this technique. Okay? And each is governed by the boards in their particular profession. So NET, when we have unresolved traumas in our bodies, it kind of stays in the body, you know? And the difference between that is when we respond to stress, there's 2 types. There's acute stress is something that just happened now, and that's usually the body adapts to that. When there's long-term stress, and the body then begins to break down, because then the body's not meant to sustain that amount of stress. Yeah, so acute stress, immediate danger. Chronic stress, it starts to mess up what's called your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. The hormonal system gets messed up. When the hormonal system gets messed up, and then it doesn't allow your body to be in repair mode. Think about this. When you're in fight or flight for a long period of time, from long stress like divorce or death of a family member or somebody close to you that's unexpected, your body goes into what's called high sympathetic tone or sympathetic dominance, which means what? Blood pressure elevates, pupils dilate, respiration goes up. So then your body's immune system starts to begin to decrease. Is that a good state to be in?
No.
No, it's not a good state to be in. So it's really important to understand these mechanisms as we go through this. These stresses can become unresolved, and then the chronic stress in the body. And that's why we started adopting the NET, because people would come to us and then they wouldn't get better. By the time people have tried different chiropractic doctors, different medical doctors, orthopedists, physical therapists, their systems were not allowed to adapt the way it's supposed to. Hey Sharon, come join us right over here, so you're not being blocked there. So what happens is that NET helps us find conditioned responses and stops. It's kind of like, you know, my 18-year-old, I don't know, a couple of years ago, he was talking about like, oh, my friend gets so triggered. Like, hey, I like that word. We get triggered, right? We don't even know. When you get triggered on something, you're like, it's totally not in your conscious awareness. So, again, from physical, emotional, and chemical stress, these things get downloaded into your nervous system. We're here to adapt, but it's not perfect, right? The system's not perfect because we have sometimes more overwhelming stress than we can actually adapt to. So, what's the difference between therapy and NET? Any idea?
It just treats the mind, therapy. NET also includes the physical aspect.
Right, it's a more a mind-body approach. So the analogy that NET taught us was a therapist will teach you how to walk. NET will take the rocks out of your shoes. See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a physical experience that's happening, and we'll talk more about in detail exactly what that means. But when these are all in your body, then the system can't reboot itself. So how do we do that? So if you look at the research here, you can actually see changes in the cerebellum, which is in the back part of your brain. This was published back in 2017. I remember when this came out and we started doing this study back in 2013. I was privy to, listening to some of the clinical psychologists that were involved. They said, oh my God, we've never seen anything like this. And now they're all practicing NET. but it took 5 years for the studies to be done. And we did this in Jefferson Hospital, right here in backyard in Philadelphia. And they actually were able to look at functional MRIs of the brain in the cerebellar part, what's called the parahippocampal area. They found out when you have this heightened state of emotions that are stressful, part of your brain lights up. It's something physical. It's not just something that you're imagining. And then what they did is that between 3 to 5 sessions of NET with these people with heightened stress of emotion for long periods of time, they would then do the scan afterward, and they would disappear. So different parts of the brain, there's 3 parts in general with the brain. The reptilian brain is your lizard brain, they call it. It's basically just to keep you alive. You know, you can eat and breathe and all those different things. The mammalian brain is more the midbrain, and that is more with emotions. You know, it's timeless, hormones, perfectionistic. The newest part of the brain, the top part of the brain is called the neocortex, and that's the logical part of who you are. NET addresses more the mid part of the brain, right? Which is associated with emotions and memory. So it gets stuck in that pattern there. It's like when you download stuff in your phone, you know, in the beginning, if we get a new phone, everything's clean, right? No, nothing. It's like you have all like 256 gigabyte of RAM or something like that, and then in the Android ones, you can add more, you know, like a micro SD card. I don't think they do that anymore. They'll put that away too. They want you to pay for the memory. But so as time goes by, the more pictures you take, the more audios you record, the more videos you record, the whole thing just gets really full, right? Are they always organized? No, because sometimes you take like 10 pictures of something. Oh, I'll delete some of that later, right? Yeah. When you have time in between kids and so on. So what happens is that the system becomes incoherent. It becomes fragmented. And so when they did the studies in NET, besides looking at the brain, we were actually able to look at heart rate variability. There's a measurement of that. You could see when you ask the person to remember an emotional state that they were either afraid of or, you know, heightened emotion, you could look at the heart rate and measure it. And then post NET, you can see, again, you can measure the outcome of this on a physiological level than just a thought level. Because if you're just thinking thought-wise, it's like it's hard to measure, right? Because you feel better? Oh, okay, well, you could feel better. Have a drink. You feel better. Doesn't mean anything changed physiologically, permanently. And that's why the NET is really beneficial with regard to that. People online, if you want to learn more, go to One Foundation. Also, another website is netmindbody.com to get more information about this. So with the dynamics of NET, the first is that, again, we already know emotions are physiological. Also, there's a conditioned response. We get conditioned. Everything's conditioning, right? Learning how to drive is conditioning. Learning how to eat is conditioning. Well, emotional stress is the same thing. But here's the thing. I don't know about you guys. Are your families perfect? Are all your relatives perfect? They're all whacked out. And so that's why we all become whacked out. And it's no judgment. It's like, it is what it is. We came from hard drives that were imperfect. And you have to come from the data from somewhere to create you. So guess what? It happens in a quantum level and an energetic level. These emotions get stuck in your body. Right? So you know what the analogy I like to make is that, remember when we could buy like refurbished phones? Nobody wants to do that anymore. It's so inexpensive. Like, oh, I can't afford a phone because it's $5,000. So I'll get a refurbished one, something that got broken and they refurbished it, they wiped it. But let's say you had a refurbished one, but you couldn't really wipe the hard drive totally clean, and on the music player, the playlist, there's 3 songs on there that you have to play before you get to your player. Would that be okay with you? It's like, I hate that song. Oh my God, I have to listen to 3 of them before I get to my song. Well, that's what happens to us when we have emotional stresses. They get stuck in a pattern, and then instead of playing the music that you want, here's another thing. Anybody can touch that button and trigger it, and next thing you know, you're out of control. Like, how many people do you know that meet a different person, get in a relationship, and have the same problems they did in the first, second, third, and fourth? Because that's who they are. Not here. You can't really blame people. That's another thing with the NET. You stop getting away from labeling people You don't judge people, right? Because the system is corrupted. They didn't do it on purpose. None of us wanted to, have negative experiences in life. None of us wanted to, but it happens because life is imperfect. But the NET is a really sophisticated way of finding out how do we then defragment the system so that the system can be more coherent and more balanced. I was telling your husband that if it weren't for the computer age, I would not know how to explain this. Like the kind of work that we do is so non-linear. Like, how do you explain this? It's because that's the way the body works. If you could do that with huge mega systems of computer, as much as billions of dollars those things cost, those computers can't make a baby or make one red blood cell. You can. How much more power do you think your body's capable of having? Right? I mean, those things are amazing, right? You're worth more than that. The question is, how do you navigate life so that you don't struggle consistently? And again, we get conditioned response. Remember Pavlov's dog? Because normally, remember that's the study, so that Pavlov was a neurologist, a neuroscientist. Normally, when you feed a dog meat, it would salivate because it's a conditioned response. They smell meat, they salivate because saliva is waiting for it to digest it. But normally, the dogs, if you ring a bell, that doesn't mean anything to them. But if you put two and two together, give them the meat, you cling, you condition them, right? And next thing you know, you just ring the bell with no meat. They do what? They salivate. That's what we do in our relationships. You get an argument, you get an argument, more, and then you let it go. It's been a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years. People that, especially with the way we're brought up with our parents. Oh, you're supposed to follow the rules, and you find out later, you get all like, they're not perfect. Holy crap. I've been listening to the wrong thing. But guess what? It's already downloaded in your hard drive. You can't control it anymore. It becomes out of conscious control. Dr. Joe Dispenza, a neuroscientist, said that by the time you age 35, your physiology has been programmed that you almost have no control over who you are. You have 70,000 thoughts every single day, right? Only 5% is conscious. Did you think about driving here? Here I am. You're going to go home tonight. You're going to go probably, get ready for bed. You don't think about, okay, I got to take this off, got to do that, put this on, like, I'm in bed. How'd that happen? Because it's unconscious. Yeah. Don't you think that's scary? Only 5% of what we do every day is conscious. Because everything's programmed. And you wonder why we keep smacking into each other, and then we keep blaming each other when we're all walking around unconscious. So how do you then do that? And that's the kind of work that we do. And part of the technology we use is the NET, because we all get conditioned that way. In Chinese acupuncture, another factor with this is that in Chinese acupuncture, you figured out that all the organs in your body have emotions attached to them. All the emotions have an address. Liver, gallbladder, all those different things, right? And this is the big NET chart here. So for example, if you look at the kidney and bladder, is fear, paralyzed will, contemplated impending doom, inefficiency, pissed off. Gallbladder, liver is anger, resentment, frustration, depression, all these different emotions, indecision. You have these charts, by the way, right, at home. So what they found out then, if these emotions are an address, they can get stuck there. And you keep accumulating them again and again. You can have emotions of stress from somebody else. So these are some examples here, a little bit closer. Large intestine, lung. And the thing that's scary, a lot of people have gallbladder surgery and they still have the same symptoms afterwards because there was an emotional component they never found. Ask many people that you know. Right? Oh yeah, well, I had my gallbladder out. It's like, I still have the same issue. How could that be? Because it was never a physical component. It was more a neuro-emotional component. And if you look at also the repetition compulsion is that when you get traumatized about something, you keep trying to fix it and you can't fix it. Again and again and again, right? And it's non-conscious. You start repeating the same pattern. And your body then remembers the more you think about something, whether it's wanted or unwanted, the more you attract it. It's just the way it works. And the more you do it, it becomes a habit, right? it becomes a habit, and it's annoying because like, why did I do that again? It's like, it becomes a habit. So how do you then change, how does the emotions and thought affect your physiology? So we're going to do a little experiment. So now that you're dozing off, so everybody sit up in your chair there. So uncross your legs. You girls like to cross your legs now. Mess up your hips. So, all right, sit up straight. Put your butt against the back. There you go. Put your hands on your lap, facing up. Now, once you close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath, pull it up, way up. Hold the breath for a second, and breathe all the way out. Good. Do that one more time. Take a deep breath. Just be here now, and breathe out. Good. Now keep your eyes closed. I want you to picture a beautiful, brand new kitchen in the house. It's got marble top, whatever color you want it to be. On top of that marble top, you have a big cutting board. It's made out of wood. And there's a knife next to it that you only use for Thanksgiving, and it's really sharp, so be careful. In the middle of that cutting board, you have a big fat lemon. It's like extra large, organic, clean lemon. So in your left hand, you'd hold that lemon. Be careful, that knife's really sharp on the right hand. You're going to start slicing that lemon slowly. You can see all the juices coming down on the knife. And the lemon's going, juices all the way down on the cutting board. You could start to smell the sourness of that lemon. And then you want to take the one half of the lemon that's really huge. You can see all the pulp inside there. Take it in your left hand and look at it. Smell it. And in your right hand, let go of that knife and take a hold of the shaker of salt that you have on the other side. Take that salt and then shake the salt on top of that lemon. Good. Put the salt shaker down. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to take that lemon in your left hand and put it into your mouth and take a big bite out of it. And then squeeze all the juices right into your mouth. And Kim's laughing like crazy. Are you like salivating like Take the salt again. Put a lot more salt on there. Just like go crazy on it. And then one more time, take that lemon again. And as a matter of fact, just go tilt your head back in your mind's eye and just squeeze all the lemon. Open the mouth really wide. Squeeze all the juice of that lemon into your mouth. And you can just come back to present moment, open your eyes, and let's not torture Kim anymore. So she's like, she can't stand it. Now, if you're a visual, right, an auditory learner, you would go into state. What experience would you have, potentially? What would happen to your physiology? Did you salivate?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing salivate? There's no lemon here. What's wrong with you? Like, can you see what I'm saying? That's how powerful your mind is. Everything is controlled through your nervous system. And this is the component that is biochemical. And that's why when we go into our practice, people come here, the first thing that we do when they've been to all the different practitioners, we ask the body whether it's okay healing. So when we do the muscle testing, we ask the body, I'm okay healing. If it's not, you have to address that. Or no matter what you do, whether you're a DO or a DC or an MD or a PT, it's going to be hard for it to fix because the body's awareness of itself is that it doesn't believe that it deserves to heal. Really, really powerful information that you need to understand, right?
Yeah,
so there you go. There's Cam right there. You should see. I should have videoed your face.
Yeah, like.
It's like I can't stand it anymore. So we had to end it early. Sorry, Sharon. So I didn't want it to suffer any longer. So, right. So if you, those of you online that are like nerd scientists that you want to really know about this, there's a book by Dr. Candace Pert called The Molecules of Emotion. She's passed on a long time ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. But she's actually the co-discoverer of opiate receptors in the body. So what they found out is that the neuropeptides are created in your gut and they travel all throughout your brain. And so that's why when the gut's messed up, the brain's messed up. So that's what's called, again, we talked about that in the beginning, is the HPA axis or the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So the whole body is like a integrated unit that kind of works with itself. But things get messed up, become disintegrated, right? So, but that's more information that people online, or for you guys too, if you wanted to read about that. You don't really need to. It's like we just know that it works. So here's another thing. The body doesn't know the difference between something imagined or real. You already experienced that. So when something's unresolved in your body and it's buried in there, here's another thing that we do. Remember we talked about in the neocortex? Many times we try to rationalize everything, right? And here's the challenge with that too. When we do, and therapy is necessary, I'm going to say that right now, therapy is necessary and it's really beneficial. What happens with a therapy from our experience, that's like the tip of the iceberg. And you're using the neocortical part of your mind, meaning it's the logical part of your mind. It's what we call in NET the devil's lawyer. Let's make a deal. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You rationalize things, right? And you get along because guess what? We're rationalizers. That's how we survive. But here's the question. Do you just want to survive in life or do you want to thrive in life? You have to make a choice. Most of us, we just survive and then we put up with stuff and then we walk around all day long driving. Here's my analogy. Driving around and you have a car that goes really fast, but your parking brakes are on. Why am I not going where I want? What's that smell? And why is my gas mileage so bad, right? You're driving with your parking brakes on. We do. We all do. I'm not exempt from that. But that's what happens. When your body holds on to these emotions and you don't delete those files, your hard drive gets messed up. So what we do is we do muscle testing. We ask the body to biofeedback mechanism. The seminar we had before this was all about muscle testing, so we can go deep with that. This was 2013. That's when we were doing the NET, advanced NET. This is Dan Monty. He's actually a psychiatrist in Jefferson Hospital. Actually, it's called something else now because they keep getting taken over by different organizations. You know how that goes. But anyway, so he's one of our advanced NET tech. He's a psychiatrist, and he really loves teaching us. Here's another thing. People go, oh, when I do the NET, it's like, I have these memories. Is that real or not? Emotional reality is what matters. Whether something happened or not, if your body believes it did, it happened. How old is Zoe? 5. So you have a 5-year-old. She's scared. She's not. But she's scared of monsters under the bed, right? Or in the closet. Mommy, there's monsters. Zoe, don't worry about it. I'm going to call the CIA, the FBI, the SEAL team, you know, all the Marines. They're coming in with their guns. They're going to get a scanner. They're going to scan the closet under your bed. Make sure there's no monsters in there, right? We're going to give us a 500-page report. Say, there are no monsters. We looked at every nook and cranny. So everything's fine. If she thinks there's a monster in the bed, does it matter? There's a monster under the bed. That's what happens to us. When we believe something to be true, emotional reality, it's there. So what we need to do, if a file needs to be deleted, it doesn't matter if you like the file or not. You have to delete the file. Otherwise, the program keeps running. These are like apps that happen. All the different emotions we have, they run on apps. And these apps can get corrupted. And it just runs itself. And that's why it's annoying. Like, here's another thing that's really frustrating for most people, right? We all know, like, we're pretty smart. I mean, where we are now, because you got to, because you're smart. If you were like a dodo bird, you'd be living somewhere else and under a bridge in Philly or something. You know what I mean? So, not that there's anything wrong with that, but do you understand? That's why it's frustrating, because like, why can't I figure that? Is that right? Why can't I get over this? I'm smart. I know what to do. Why can't I get it? Because it's not here. That's 10% of the equation. 90% of who you are at an emotional level is below the threshold of awareness. This is the tip of the iceberg. Below that is where you live. You understand? So that's what we address when you do the NET.
I have a question.
Yes?
So, usually, like, you meet, like, different personality types, right? So some people, they don't get affected as much.
Yep.
And some people are, like, overly sensitive.
Yep.
So, does it have to do with their experiences, or is it just a personality type?
Both. Everything matters.
Okay.
Everything matters. Right?
So, it's not necessarily, like, you know, like their past experiences, NET, and things like that. It could just be their personality is, like, overly sensitive too.
Or past experiences too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, past experiences. So everything matters. Every little thing matters, in other words. You know, that would be like, well, what's important about a car? Tires, engine, leather, seats, steering wheel. Well, what's the difference? Well, some cars are built differently. Some are SUVs, some are EV. So it depends on your. Okay, you have a car. It's perfect. Where do you drive it? You drive it in the desert. You go four-wheeling when you're not supposed to. It's a Ferrari, and you go to the So the experience you have, and also who you are, it's all intertwined like this. But the cool thing about NET, as you've experienced already many times, is that it meets you where you are.
Right. So when you
Yeah.
treat a patient, right?
Yes.
So how do you determine that this patient probably is reacting in this manner because of NET? Or is it just because, they're overly sensitive and that's their personality type?
So what you do is that, for example, here's the thing, that we talk about the repetition compulsion, right? So when somebody goes like, I keep doing this and I can't help myself. I've talked about it to therapists and I can't. It just keeps recurring. Something's stuck. So how do you know? Then you do the muscle test and you ask the body about situation. So we'll give if you want, we can do like an example. You want to do that later?
Sure.
In a second? Okay. But that'll answer it in terms of like real time. Otherwise, it's all theoretical. Another thing too with these conditioned response, it becomes like a reflex. Like you have with the bicipital reflex. Like you can't help that, right? It's just it happens. You can't control it, and that's what happens when we get triggered, because these things get embedded. And yeah, you could have more sensitivity. Some people you don't care, but when there's something not resolving in your body, either physical, emotional, chemical, you have either pain things and so on. You have to ask, is there an emotional component to it? Because there's always physical, emotional, chemical. Make sense? So that'd be like when they did the studies on NET, they did studies on people that had already been diagnosed and cured of cancer, meaning that they no longer had cancer, everything was successful. But when they ask them, remember when you first had cancer? How did that feel? Oh my God, can you see that? It's still there. There's no more cancer. You get it? Or they think about it when you got the diagnosis. That's the people they took. When they were 8 or 9 experienced and they're like still triggered by it because it's embedded in the body. Those are the people they took. They didn't take like, some guy like, hey, how you doing? Like, okay, you feel good? Yeah, okay, you want to be in our study? They want people that were like this. They wanted to be the heightened state of arousal years after it happened. It is embedded. Okay? So yeah, this is an involuntary reflex, and we will, and again, your body responds to the semantics. For example, if you're afraid of spiders, and you just even think of a spider, ooh, spider or snake or whatever, you get triggered, right? Because your body, words carry the meaning that they have, and it means something to you. So, like you said, it's a very complex experience because everything's happening all at once. And what the NET does, and then the homeopathy, like yours, is what we use. Different emotions in the body, different parts of the body have organ systems, and in Chinese acupuncture, they use the elements to help calm that part of the area down, and that's what NET does too. And that's homeopathy, like cures like. Okay. Yeah, Emotions Buried Alive Never Die, by the way, that's a name of a book, because it just gets embedded in there. So, do you want to try something? Yeah, come on up here. I think we have to go on this side, Sharon, because I think I put the camera. Yeah. Last time I did that. Make sure we're in the frame, Kim. We good?
Yeah, just
Good. Keep going more.
there you go.
All
Perfect.
Right. So give me an example of what you're talking about, so that we can make this real time.
So for example, I'm a super sensitive person.
Okay.
So I react to, it could be work stress, it could be overwhelming situations, which other people are just like, why are you even reacting to such a small statement?
Got it.
Just ignore it.
Right, exactly.
So how do I know that I'm just not a super sensitive person, or is it because of a past experience?
So, anytime, here's another thing that's really cool. Just because there's something of heightened emotion, it doesn't mean that's bad. Here's the thing, you should be reacting to it appropriately, right? If there's a bear running after you, should you be afraid?
Yeah.
Should you take action? What's your action?
To
Run as quick as you can.
Or try to be bigger than the bear.
Yeah, exactly right, which is impossible because they're all
That's right.
So that's an appropriate experience, right? Now, here's what happens though. If the bear's gone and you're still afraid, is that good? when there's no bear, and you still think there's a bear, and you're reacting as if the bear's still running after you.
Okay.
That's what happens to us when we have these emotions that we don't, release in our bodies. It keeps running it, and so on. And now, and this is what, by the way, they call stimulus generalization. So, for example, if a little kid's afraid of a cat, a white cat, all of a sudden it's afraid of white dogs, and you generalize like then they're afraid of Santa with a white beard, right? And then they see a white van and they get like, what's going on? And then the therapist go, oh, they just have anxiety. They don't know what's wrong. It's like, well, your physiology got messed up. So to answer your question would be, yes, you have different personalities. That's the way we're created. We're all created uniquely. The question is, do we need to address it, or can your body handle it? See what I'm saying? So you don't want to do homework for your kids. You could, because if you do, then they'll never learn. So in your case, we've already done a lot of work, and you already know that. So you want to scan it, for example. So let's ask the body through the muscle testing if it's something that needs to be addressed, right? So in the way we would do it, people have not experienced this before. You would hold the arm up here, make a fist, and then hold strong here. And then you can just say something like, imagine something at work that's like, you feel like it bothers you. Can you think of that?
Yeah.
Then hold. Okay. Put your hand on your forehead now. And in your case, it seems fine. You're handling it. Put your finger here. It's a polarity point. That's how we know that you're polar. That means it's good. So you've done so much work, and you've done amazing work, that it still bothers you. But here's the thing. It's not bothering your physiology anymore. Your body now is able to handle it, and you can make proper... It's still, it's more like a habit that you're experiencing it, like, oh, it bothers me. But when people see you still react to it, it's not as deep as it used to be.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not as deep as it used to be. You would,
yeah.
like, the car, think about it again and again, and the next thing you're yelling at your husband, you're yelling at the kids, and you're yelling at everybody that looks at you sideways, so you think they're looking at you sideways. That's the overreaction.
Yeah.
So again, it's not a bad thing. Emotions are normal. But when you overreact to everything, and that's what happens if you didn't do all the work that you did. What have you seen that you noticed, by the way? Because you were sharing this and thanking us the other day. What have you noticed that the many times you've done the NET? Name one thing, we have all night, obviously, that's really important that you say, you know what? Without the NET, this is what it used to be like, and what is it different now?
Yeah, I think the anger aspect of it.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that I had like so much pent up anger inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like, I would just kind of like take it in, and it would be something very minimal, which I don't think I would react to in a normal situation.
Yeah.
But because I'm so stressed with just keeping everything inside that I would react so badly to that.
It would explode.
Yeah,
all
everybody
of a
would be
sudden.
like, this was something really small, but there would be like so many instances of other stuff which would have impacted me at that point. And I can say that I went for therapy as well. Yeah. So, and this especially happened after the kids. Yeah. So my anger, I would say, was like at that level.
Give me a number.
I would say 9. You remember during the NET.
Okay.
It's 9 out of 10, like to the extent that I would just be like, I don't want to look at anyone. I just want to leave.
Yeah. Right,
that kind of a situation.
Fight or flight, right?
Yeah, and I would do things in a repetitive mode. So, for example, if I want to cook something and I know I just have 15 minutes, I would still go crazy and still end up cooking the same thing that I decided on. I wouldn't try to adapt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to be like, okay, let's think like on the spot. Let's just give the kids bread or something like that. No, I just want to stick to the plan. That was how I was. Okay. Now it's like, it's okay.
They'll live another day.
They'll live another day. Nothing's gonna happen.
They're not gonna die.
I used to get obsessed with stuff.
Get it.
Like for example, like laundry. I know, like I have 4 full carts of laundry.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, I have to finish everything. I'm not moving from here, though I know I'm getting exhausted.
Yeah.
And now it's like another day.
Okay, got it. Good. And that's a good way to balance. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Because you're not having unreasonable expectations, and so that's a good demonstration of it in terms of. But with let me see. The way we would enter into the NET, because again, most people come because they've had pain that won't go anywhere, right? And normally you would go like this. You go here, like say, I'm okay. Then we would go, I'm okay being pain-free. Say that.
I'm okay being pain-free.
And just fine. You've done so much work. I'm okay. Another thing we could do, I'm okay healing. Say that.
I'm okay healing.
And that's strong. I'm okay being healthy.
I'm okay being healthy.
I'm okay being happy.
I'm okay being happy.
Good. I'm okay being at peace.
I'm okay being at peace.
Good. I'm okay adapting to the world around me.
I'm okay adapting to the world around me.
You're so balanced right now. You're not a good example.
Oh,
I just
no.
gave you an NET. so it makes sense though. But
Yeah.
so you're in a good space. You've done so much work, and then But here's the thing: what'll happen is the system can get, can disturb a little bit, but you're not going to go back to square one.
Right.
You're just like better, and so on. But does that answer your question though? In terms of yes, there's a level of because of sensitivity of emotion or just for personality, but the whole point is that we don't want you to not experience life. We want to give you the resources so that you can adapt better.
Right.
Without labeling you. That's another thing with the NET, by the way, which is really cool. I don't remember anything because I'm not a therapist. I don't have to give you advice. You're basically having a conversation with yourself. What was the question I asked you to ask me? Do you remember? When we did the NET, I said, ask me this. And
I don't remember.
you don't remember?
No, my memories.
That's okay. That's all right. No, you just did the NET, so your brain's scattered right now. So you don't have to remember anything because then when you do NET, you're looking into your physiology on your own and you clean yourself out. Like when you get that holistic adjustment that we do, that subluxation is gone. Another one may come later, but that's the way that you can look into NET. So good. Thank you very much. So, and I know Kim, you don't want to be on camera, so we're not going to do that for you. Not now, maybe down the road, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, notmindbody.com. Contact us if you want to do consultation. The way you do NET, we have actually what's called a goal sheet. A good example, I have people that have businesses and they can't reach their threshold of success in business, and they hire like business coaches and so on. And then they go, hey, is there anything? So you know what? I'm okay with this business. I'm okay being successful. I'm okay making this much money. You can actually have goals in the goal sheet that you fill out to achieve what you want to do. Because if you're not congruent with those goals, your top 3 goals of a certain topic, you're not going to achieve it. Because if your body believes that it's incongruent, it's not going to achieve it because you'll sabotage yourself. And you can create your own, with regard to that. Problems we can help with NET, which are stuck emotions. Allergies is a big thing. I actually have one patient that he's been taking like some allergy medicine since he was 18, and we just kept getting adjusted. And one time he did an NET session. After that, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, so I don't have to take that anymore. It's like, really? It's like, okay, because your body's more balanced in that regard. You'll see, Emma. Introduce you to anxiety and depression, especially kids. Oh my God, we have a heart for kids because those poor kids, first of all, they don't even really verbalize. They can't verbalize what they feel because they're kids. They don't have an experience. But if you ask Madi it's so beneficial. It really helps them very quickly. Cancer. One of my colleagues that graduated, maybe, I don't know how long has it been, maybe 6-7 years now, a naturopath. She said that when she went to a seminar for 4 days on cancer, they said they found out that 90% of cancer is emotional. Think about it, right? Because if you have stuck emotions in your body's breaking down and it cannot repair. So that's why NET is really beneficial when it comes to that. I have this patient who was referred to us by somebody in about an hour away from here, colleague of mine, because they know that we do the NET. She's had pain for 10 years. She'd already had back surgery. It wasn't helping. She was still in chronic pain. She was still under chiropractic care, which was great. But the husband goes, 10 years, can't clean, you can't really work. We can't even have relationships because you're in pain all the time. Like, if you don't get this taken care of, we're done. So we were able to help that person. As a matter of fact, that was the husband who we were able to help get their businesses up, because when they say, oh, my wife's back, can you help me with a business? We did that too. Right? So relationship conflicts, repetition, compulsion, we talked about that. There's the people that you know that keep meeting different people but having the same breakdown in the relationships. Or people that keep finding the jobs they keep getting fired from, or they're finding a boss that they hate, right? So you can actually clear that up, because then what we do with that, you can find, first of all, I'm okay with my job, right? If not, you clear that out. Or you can go, let's say you're okay with the job. How about this? How about creating what you want? How about going, visualizing it and going, I'm okay with a job that I love, that people respect me, that people pay me $500,000 a minute. You know what I mean? So whatever you want, if you can become congruent with that, your attractive field becomes harmonized, you'll attract that. But you have to clean it up. So when we have people that come in, with their relationship issues, we usually say, like, again, it's such a common thing to getting divorced. It's a 5th, 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever divorce. And then we go, do you want a relationship? We go, okay, I'm okay attracting a relationship into my life. No. Okay, let's be more specific. I'm okay attracting a healthy relationship into my life, because the ones have not been. I'm okay nurturing, right? Attracting a healthy, loving relationship into my life. No, clear that out. I'm okay attracting you can stack it. I'm okay attracting a healthy, loving, respectful, that would be a good one, respectful relationship with them. No, clear that out too. So you can kind of make what you want, like, those vision boards that people have. Well, you could do the same thing, but you create it to yourself. But you have to be congruent with it. Because if your body's not congruent with something, it's not going to achieve it. Because it believes that it's going to be dangerous for you to achieve that. So it's really cool, because we have many people had the benefit from that. Yeah, so people that sabotage themselves, athletes or people in college and so on. I have a couple of ladies that came from out of the country that we've been able to help. One person trying to get their master's degree, but she was like, man, I'm not going to make as much money because I'm taking courses right now that are easy, because I don't have to speak in front of people. You have to speak in front of people, I'm done. I just lose it, right? So therefore, I'll just take classes online. But I know if I take those classes, I'm not going to get the degree that I need. I'm going to lose 50, 60, 100,000 a year. Can you help me? And we're able to help that person. Can you see what I'm saying? Because what they believe to be inside, it's not conscious. It's a body-mind experience as well. Again, we talked about the difference between counseling and which is really necessary and valuable, and NET. Again, a therapist will teach you how to walk. NET takes the rocks out of your shoes. I had one kid one time that he was, when he was young, man, he's probably 30-something now. He was a swimmer. He used to swim for the YMCA, Upper Mainline Y. And he found out about NET. He was very competitive. He was probably like 8, 9 years old. Every time he would meet, we'd say, Mom, can you schedule me an NET? So we'd do like, I'm okay winning, I'm okay losing, I'm okay beating this guy. And he would just and the coaches would go like, how are you cutting your time so quickly? Because he would half a second more, how did you beat this guy? What are you doing? It's I don't know, but he just loved doing it, the NET, because then you can really, you become your own self-advocate, right? And the challenge is when you've been to therapy for so long and you kind of hit that threshold where you're not making progress, you think, you know what? Maybe it's me, right? Everybody's trying to help me. I'm on these medications. It's another thing. It's natural. You don't have to be on meds, because it's yeah. So that's really helpful too. It's emotions, phobias. People have all kinds of different phobias. The last thing I want to share with you would be this one child who lives in the Jersey Shore. For about 6 months or so, he was on suicide watch because he was ready to hurt himself. And the mom's he's got a pediatrician, he's got a therapist, he's got a psychiatrist. We don't know what to do. I mean, he's just so depressed that we don't know what to do with him. So on a Sunday night at 3 p.m., we did 45 minutes of NET. We cleared things out. 2 weeks later, we went to that part of the beach, and I'm going to go work out. So I take my workout seriously. I went to the gym, and he's coming out of the gym and said, whoa, you're doing better. It's yeah, fine. Nothing ever happened to him. This guy was in suicide watch. Does that make sense? So again, it's not that we give self credit. It's just the way the body works. With the kind of work you guys do. You know what you're doing. You have systems in your work. That's why you have a job, and that's why you have a career. Same thing with you. You know what you're doing. If you didn't have that training, you wouldn't have a job, right? So there's systems that you have to follow, the principles that the body follows. If you clear the body's systems, it functions the way it's supposed to. Dr. Dan Monty, that's advanced NET sound. Where'd the time go? Good. That's when I was taller than him. No,
Yes.
just kidding. That's the reality. Yeah, that was my neuroemotional complex right there. Yeah, gosh, 2018. Yeah, that's when we actually discussed the outcome and how people were so proud of the accomplishments. That was like a 5-year study, which is really valuable because we've always known that NET's work has been since the 80s. But it's nice to have, this is like the age of show me, the age of proof.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have it, and more and more and more studies going on. That's Dr. Walker. Back in 2018, he was actually the developer of NET. That's not what he looked like. He looked like Santa Claus now.
Yeah.
Then God, that was like what, 5 years ago? 18.
6.
Yeah, it's 24 now.
Yes,
So fast. So
it does.
anyway, it's actually so again. There's different interferences that we encounter every day. Just to answer your question, you get exposed to many different experiences. We're very complex beings, and again, your nervous system really matters. When you have communication, you get subluxations. When you get subluxations, by the way, when the body doesn't function well, are you more or less susceptible to emotional complexes, you think?
More.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because your systems can adapt. The whole point of everything we do in the holistic approach is get your body to adapt. Think about this. Can you control control the way your parents act?
No.
Can you control the way your spouse acts? Say the right thing, otherwise you get into fight. So, so can you control what your kids do? Can you control what... You can't control everybody around you, right? Anything else outside of that, God's in control. He still keeps the planets in orbits, right? The only thing you control is what? You. Yeah, but if you're all discombobulated in your brain and you get so confused. So, and that's the reason why with the NET, you get the opportunity, because optimally, when we're born and we're healthy, then you get subluxated from life. When you get subluxated, your autonomic system, your hard drive starts to go, right? And then it's like it starts to malfunction. It's like, hey, you see the hourglass thing going, it's spinning now. And then next thing you know, it's like, I can't even use my computer. And then next thing you know, after that, there's a big breakdown. And when do you go to see doctors? When you have all these symptoms, right? But really, ideally, you don't want to live between here, one step away from the grave. You want to be living at the heightened state of functionality, as you get older. So, any last minute questions before we go?
Has it ever happened that you have an NED session and then that just reminded me, do you forget why you went for an NED? Because that's happened with me.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, because I have gone for like NED sessions, and right now I've noticed this.
Yeah.
I don't seem to really remember what I was so upset about.
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
That was the point. Because when you kept getting upset about something that was no longer happening.
Okay. I just don't remember the instance at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole point. It's like you erase your physiology because there's no... You know what it's like? So here's what NET does. Like, we talked about this. Like, you have your screen, the computer screen, right? So you have all kinds of, like, shortcuts on there. You have the shortcut for this, for that. Well, what we do in our lives, because we're not taught how to do it, we have all these experiences, and they're like a word file. You type things in on there. Oh, yeah, I met this guy, or I met this girl, my friend did this, my mom did this. And then you have everything cataloged on the sheet, on the word file. And you leave it there. You start another one. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, your desktop like, right? So what you just experienced is that if you want to get rid of the file, you have to do two things. What is it? That word file.
Delete it.
Or save it. You could delete it or save it. Well, here's the thing. The neuroemotional complexes are files that you don't need anymore. Mm-hmm. So when you delete it, do you have to go back into your recycle bin like, what did I delete?
Yeah, I'm just like, what just...
I
don't even know what that was.
Well, the reason why it's not relevant anymore, you know what it's like? You ever click on a website that's not working? What do you see on there? What does it say? 404?
404, yeah.
What does that mean?
404 is unauthorized. Yeah.
There you go. You stop giving it authority. You stop giving your past the authority to run your present. That's wonderful because there's nothing there. It's gone. And you know what? When you get rid of all the old files, what happens to your hard drive? You can make more experiences now that actually what you want in a state of balance and adaptation instead of keep the same pattern again and again and again, and you talk to more people about it, you talk to therapists about it, you do blogs about it, and you go in forums about it, and to validate why you're so unhappy. Right? This one lady, she came in and she did tons of NET, and remember she was like, she would crochet, and she would crochet these amazing socks that you thought that was bought from like out of like wool, and she said, oh yeah, I have an obsession, I just get all my wool from like somewhere in Boston or something like that, and that's all. And I look forward to looking at my Yankee magazines. I love my Yankee. And then we started doing all the NET, and I don't. Again, here's another thing. The cool thing is I don't have to remember anything, because when you delete a file, you don't go, oh, what file did I delete 5 years ago? Who cares? It's gone. You deleted it for a reason, right? And next thing you know, it's just like, hey, I just want to let you know that I don't really care about Yankee magazine anymore. It's like I have better things to do. And also the yarn, yarn's yarn. Like, who's gonna know? You put the sock on, you're gonna see it anyway. So that's exactly what ends up happening. And so then this one girl, she was in gymnastics. She was 6 years old, had a trauma. She's like, and every time she couldn't achieve something, she would just cry and can't perform. So, and then she had fallen, messed up her neck, muscle tested it, cleared it out, and next thing you know, she was fine. And her brother, who's a football player, really good football player, in the middle of the season, a couple of years ago, said, I'm done with football, I don't care. Dad said, what? You're a good running back, what are you doing? It's like, I just don't care, Dad. You better get in there, do some NET. So we cleared it out, I don't know, half an hour. And the dad showed me the video of it. That I think we did the NET on a Wednesday. That Friday they had a game. And so he's the running back. The quarterback gives him the ball. He runs it, gets a touchdown. That's how things happen, like again and again. Where's the book here? So there's a book here by Dr. Luann Hall. There's tons of case studies on there. And someday soon I'm going to be, writing my own book. We have so many different cases that are just amazing. And again, here's the thing. Your body is fearfully and wonderfully made. It's amazing. It's God created, right? It has so much power. Like I said, computers that you work on, billions and billions of dollars. You can't make one red blood cell. You can't make cell out of that. Your body's that way. What else is it capable of? And we have the birthright to live a harmonious, thriving life if you know how to defragment your system. And you have to honor it. And the thing is, when you defragment, you can't blow it up. You can't kill it. You can't break it. You can't break the system. If they wouldn't hire if you break the system, right? So you have to be delicate about it.
My job is to break the system.
What's that?
My job is to break the system.
Is that what it is? Okay, right. So that they can then protect themselves, right? That's the point. You have to be resilient. So the world wants to break you because people have their own things. Your job is to be sure that you can adapt to people that are trying to break you, because nobody's really trying to break you. You just think they are. So, right? It's just the way things work. So, with that, please comment, like, and share. People online, we're on Facebook, a couple of names on there, and on YouTube also. We have a bunch of Instagram as well, and also our website, drmariano.com. Our next seminar is Harmonizing Hormones, a Simplified Functional Medicine Approach and the Holistic Solutions. That's going to be a big attended one. A lot of people have those issues. And to leave with you again, we do this at each seminar, because in today's world, you have to really be careful where your focus goes, right? Anybody here watch the news?
Try not to.
Good, don't.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's why they call it TV programming. For a reason, it's programming. And do they really want you to be relaxed when you watch the news, or do they want you to be afraid and be fearful? Where your focus goes, energy flows, right? And we talked about this before. You can watch where you go. So, because everything, you mentioned this today, Kim, you said, tomorrow's not promised, right? We're here now because we're given the gift to be here on earth still. However, like Henry David Thoreau said, I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to live deep and suck all the marrow out of life, to put to rout all that was not life, and not when I came to die, discovered that I had not lived. NET is a powerful experience and technique that you can use to navigate through life. So instead of being stressed about it, you can actually enjoy skiing through life instead of worrying that you're going to fall down. So with that, we will end until we see you next time. I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano. Thank you so much. Until we see you in our next video, have a good night.
Yep.
Yes.